To many, choosing your professions can be as difficult as choosing your class. Do you follow the meta like everyone else and get engineering so you benefit from all the gadgets and explosives? Or do you go for money-making professions in Season of Discovery, as the gold on the server is going to be pretty sparse, probably for a couple of weeks until bots take hold. The other option is, do you just pick professions that fit best with the class that you're playing? Like, if you're a leather-wearing rogue, you go skinning and leather working so you can make yourself some gear on the way up. Well, that's all personal decisions to make, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you which one of them you should choose, but if, like me, you want to get as close to absolute BIS gear in each phase of Season of Discovery, regardless of what the level cap is, then it's definitely worth having a look through some of the gear that you can get on 60 upgrades. I'll put a link to it in the description, but it has been updated to Season of Discovery now, so you can very quickly look at where the gear comes from, and if any of it's crafted, it'll tell you the exact materials that you're going to need, including all the materials for your enchants as well. An example of this would be Mal users that can make use of strength. Shining silver breastplate from blacksmithing is going to be the best you're going to be able to get at level 25. It is only 1 strength and 1 stamina over the mutant scale breastplate that you can get from Wailing Caverns, but ultimately when you look through any of these, it's still going to be the best that you can get at max level. Even if you as an agility user getting hold of the engineering parachute cloak, giving the most agility at level 25, and even the cloth head while talking about engineering is worth giving a mention to, because it gives a whopping 21 damage and healing and will literally give you more spell damage than any other piece of gear at this level. And actually, depending on your setup, it could give you more spell power than all of your gear combined. That's pretty crazy to think about. I'm not saying that any of these will be easy to come by, not just because some recipes are world drops or found in lockboxes which we can get our stealthy friends to open while you pray it's a good recipe that's inside and not some garbage green item, but actually it's because we're now trying to craft items that really you wouldn't have access to until your late 30s or early level 40s, but we're trying to get them at level 25. You're going to need to be creative. At level 25, you can get all of your professions to 225. So yes, it's absolutely possible to run around at level 25 mining mithril as an example, or even skinning as high as level 45 mobs at level 25. The problem comes from either running around without dying to actually get the mines, or having a group of friends wanting to kill these higher level things to be able to skin them. Let's also not forget that you're going to want to be killing higher level mobs to be able to get things like mage weave cloth or even rune cloth. Yeah, it can make it a bit of a nightmare. And that's where the absolute beast of a profession, an almost mandatory profession, comes in for you in Phase 1 of Season of Discovery, and you've probably guessed it already before even clicking on the video. If you're a long-term hardcore player or just a classic era player, fishing is and always has been an amazing way to get more than just fish. Hardcore players will know exactly what I'm talking about with this. With some of these recipes needing higher level cloths, leathers, or even green gems like star rubies, you can get all of these from fishing. And even, on a side note, if you were planning on leveling enchanting, you can also get the higher level greens you might need from fishing to DE and keep getting stocked up on mats early on. You've got numerous options of places where you can fish to get some of this stuff. But I'm not going to lie, getting to some of these places is not going to be easy, because really, I'd say the main places is going to be Tanneris, which is very high, and you'll probably die a lot to get in position to start fishing, and Strangleform Val. This is not to say it's not impossible, because actually making your way along the coast in Strangleform Val as an example is not actually that difficult. You've just got to make sure you got your wits about you and you're not pulling anything that you can't handle, which at level 25 will probably be everything. If we was to look at some of these recipes that we've already spoke about, these can actually be found from fishing. But the biggest thing is the things like Mage Weave Cloth. Getting Mage Weave Cloth at 25 is not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but luckily they are found in Ironbound Trunks, Ironbound Lock Chests, Mithril Bound Trunks, and Reinforced Lock Chests. Now, Mithril Bound Trunks are really the ones that we're going to be after. Like I said before, Mithril Bound Trunks can be found off the coast of Strangleform Val, Ajara, which you're not going to go to, and Tanneris, which actually is pretty safe. It is just getting to Tanneris that might be a bit of a problem, depending on whether you're Horde or Alliance. You've also got Feralus, but again, it would be very dangerous to start fishing this in Feralus. My go-to would probably be Tanneris. Inside these containers, you'll find loads of bolts of Mage Weave, thick leather, rugged leather, bolts of rune cloth, and I mean, just those alone make it absolutely worthwhile, because it's going to be far easier to fish than it is to be able to kill the mobs that are going to give you Mage Weave, or kill the mobs to be able to skin to get thick leather or even rugged leather. And bolts of rune cloth, I would say, at 25, good luck getting rune cloth. Admittedly, there's nothing you're going to want rune cloth for anyway, but it'll be good to start stacking up for future phases. Now again, the thing about these boxes is they've got an absolutely monstrously big loot table. So while they're going to be items that come from these that you're definitely not going to be able to use, you're going to be able to make good gold, or if you're enchanting, you're going to be able to DE them and get really ahead on future materials. But you do also get several recipes from these, which are going to be world drops as well. They absolutely can be found out in the world from random mobs. But if we was to take any one of these as an example, let's say Formula Enchant Greater Spirit, which, as you can see, it requires enchanting 220, which you'll absolutely be able to do at level 25. If you was to want to go and farm for this, you're looking at killing 41, 42, and some 38 to 39 elites. But a lot of these are elite or in dungeons, which at 25 makes it pretty much inaccessible. So getting lucky and getting these through fishing, definitely what I would be doing. What would be worthwhile doing as well is when you're getting some of these greens for future phases, it would definitely be worth then having a quick look on 60 upgrades and then changing your phase BIS to phase 2, and then having a quick look through and seeing if any of these are BOE, or you can just literally scroll down and go to the BOE section, and if any of them actually sit on your BIS list, you might want to keep hold of them for the next phase. Sorry, I'm probably sure that point was pretty obvious, but again, you might get these greens and you're like, oh, I don't need them yet, and you'll vendor them when you could just chuck it in the bank, and you've potentially got an item that in, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 weeks, however long it takes for us to get to the level 40 cap, you'll be able to make use of straight away, or even pick up some leveling gear that's going to replace the items that you're using now at level 25. I mean, fishing has just got a lot going for it, and it means you haven't got to kill mobs, you haven't got a skin, you haven't got a mine. Tannerus is probably going to be pretty busy. You can have a look through everything that comes from fishing on Wowhead, obviously, and see if there's anything that you're going to want to get hold of. But as I say, some of the recipes themselves, even like Mithril Shield Spike, which is going to be something that a lot of people are going to want, obviously, and you can even pick yourself up some backpacks and things like Aquamarine, Star Ruby, and Citrin. It's also worth mentioning that the Star Rubies, if you need these for any of the crafting recipes, they don't exclusively just come from these Mithril-bound trunks. You can also get them from bloated fish, which will be when you're just fishing, you'll get, instead of getting a red gill fish, you'll get a bloated red gill, you open it, and there'll be, well, there could be numerous things in it, but Star Ruby would be one of them. I mean, using bloated catfish as just an example, which can be found, well, in loads of low-level zones. You can get rings, some of the lower-level greens, and obviously the higher the bloated fish that you get, the higher the loot that you get in it is. Now, sorry if this was teaching anyone how to suck eggs, but I do think that a lot of people, like, coming from Wrath or coming from, you know, future expansions to come and play Season of Discovery, probably forgot how valuable fishing actually is, especially in a fresh environment where no one's really got any gold just yet, and you can start going out and getting these greens to vendor. I mean, you really can rake the gold in just by sitting and doing some fishing, but that's not the purpose of it. Yeah, I'm using fishing as the primary purpose to be able to get good crafted gear, recipes, which I'll share within the guild, and obviously get us all level 25 BIS gear and pumping in Black Fathom Deeps. That sounds so weird to say. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you to everyone who's joined. The first Season of Discovery related members only video is live now. So if you are a member, make sure you go and check that out. And if you become a member and, you know, the amount of content I put out normally isn't enough, you will get 2, maybe 3 some weeks extra Season of Discovery videos going forwards. They won't be as, I was going to say this was polished. This was never polished, was it? But they're not overly edited. It literally is just me having a conversation with you members in comments and, you know, looking at things that we can start getting ready, which are not public on the channel just yet. So enjoy. I'll see you on the next one.